Okay, hello everyone. I wanted to do a video and talk a little bit about delusions and the kinds of delusions that I have had in the past. Now, the only real kinds of delusions I've ever had are paranoid delusions. And it started during my first manic period that I had a year and a half ago. I had never experienced paranoia before that point. And so it was like a new, weird experience for me. And it kind of started out as just, that belief that you're being watched or whatever by people. And it started to become more specific. Like, I used to go out for walks at night and just go around my neighborhood and stuff. And I started to believe that all of my neighbors were watching me from their houses as I was walking. And it was really, upsetting to me. And I remember one time I actually ran into the woods and I believed that I was a tree. I just remember standing among the trees and thinking, okay, nobody can see me now because I look just like these trees, and nobody knows that and nobody can see me. And that calmed me down a lot. And, excuse me, I was able to turn around and go back home. And then there were a couple times where I felt that I was being followed as I was walking, that, somebody was behind me, and I kept turning around and looking and nobody was there, and I thought, well, they're probably just hiding. And so again, I kind of cut my walks short and turned around and came back home where it was safe, inside my house and stuff. And I didn't really get out that much, which I still don't because I'm a stay-at-home mom and I take care of my kids and I don't really go out, especially in the winter. I don't go out a lot. But I had gone to the store, and again, I felt that everyone in the store was like monitoring my every move, and it made me very uncomfortable. And so I left the store, and even once I got into my car, I felt that all the people walking in the parking lot and stuff were looking in at me and watching me. And I didn't feel better until I got on the highway and I was like away from people that could look, from the outside in and see me. And I think the worst one was that I actually became suspicious of my dad, who I was living with at the time. And so that was really horrible because my dad is somebody that I trust very much, and to feel that I couldn't trust him and that he was, monitoring me or somehow plotting against me is kind of how I felt. And it was really just terrible because I didn't feel that I could trust him. And I was very uncomfortable and nervous and stuff anytime he was in the room with me because I thought, okay, he's watching me and I don't know what's going on in his mind or what he's, thinking of doing, but he's got his eye on me. And so that was really disconcerting to me. And then not long after all this stuff happened, I went into the hospital, and when I got out, I got on antipsychotic meds, which I was taking Risperdal at the time. And that did help clear up the psychotic symptoms that I had and the paranoia and everything. But I had to go off the Risperdal because it was affecting my hormones negatively, and I couldn't take it really. It was bad for me to take it. So I went off of that, and for probably a couple months, a month or two, I wasn't taking any antipsychotics. I was just taking a mood stabilizer, and that did not work. I became manic again, and after I first became manic, my doctor decided to try me on Seroquel, and when I took the Seroquel, I had a really bad paranoid reaction to the Seroquel, which I talked about in a video I made like a year ago about the psychotic reaction that I had, which is really weird because it's an antipsychotic med, so it shouldn't make you experience those things. But I was just so paranoid that people were trying to kill me, that people were after me, and when my husband came to talk to me, I just started hitting him and screaming, and I ran off to my room and hid, and I remember thinking like, oh, all these people are after me, and then kind of like my rational brain would think, well, why are they after you? And then I'd think, well, I don't know, but how can you be sure that they're not? And so I was just going back and forth, and eventually the paranoia subsided, and I did become really suicidal after that, but that again passed within a day. So I went off the Seroquel and was like, okay, this is definitely off the table for me. This is bad medication for me to take. And so I went back in to see my doctor, and I think she put me back on Risperdal at a very low dose because it had worked in the past, and she just wanted to use this kind of like a placeholder for another medication while we were tweaking everything. And it didn't work because it was too low of a dose, and the mania progressed. And again, I started getting these paranoid feelings that people were watching me or after me or whatever. And I had like a new delusion where I believed that if people looked me in the eye that they could read my thoughts, or that they could kind of like extract thoughts from my brain. And so I avoided looking anybody in the eye, and whenever I went out into a public place, I again felt very uncomfortable and really scared and nervous that all these people were trying to take my thoughts from me, and I was really out of sorts, and it was just really terrible. And so I went to see my counselor and told her about what was happening, and she called my doctor, and they actually wanted me to go into the hospital again at that point. And I said no. I said, not unless you drag me kicking and screaming am I going to go. So, you know, they didn't force me into the hospital, and my doctor agreed to keep treating me on an outpatient basis. And so she kept tweaking my meds, and I think she gave me more of the Risperdal, which again made the mania kind of start to subside. And I couldn't take the Risperdal long term, so then I tried some other meds until eventually I found Zyprexa, and Zyprexa has worked really well for me. I've been on it for the past year, and I haven't had any recurrence of the mania or like the psychotic symptoms or anything like that. So I'm, you know, a believer in meds. I do believe that meds work because they have worked for me. It's just a matter of finding the right meds. But if I do go off my meds, I'm a little bit nervous that I'll experience the paranoia again, and it's pretty high likelihood that I will, but that's just, you know, road I'll cross when I come to it.